So when we're talking about Aspergers, autism, all that sort of stuff, and superpowers, I guess like having that sort of stuff can give you skills that you won't have if you were neurotypical, like, and can give you quite brilliant skills that make you do some pretty cool stuff. Like, I guess like it's been theorized people like Isaac Newton and Einstein and all that were autistic, and coming from me personally, like I've mentioned, I've got artistic ambitions, niche artistic ambitions. But I never really had a clear goal in life where I think my ambitions have always changed. Where I went to college to do art and design because at the time I was quite into art. I was getting into contemporary visual fine art and all that, and street art and all that. But don't know if I've lost interest, but I'm probably not as interested anymore. But so I've never really had a clear goal. I think at the minute my interest when these autistic people were supposed to have niche interests, it's always changed. I think at the minute my interest is probably storytelling, films, media. Maybe like at push I'm starting to like get into like graphic novels and novels in general, even though it's something relatively new to me. But I'm taking an interest in like storytelling, and I've took sort of interests in writing and writing fiction, and I've already done a little bit of that already, which I might make an updated video on, and I can dive quite deep into like films and watching films. Like at the minute, I'm watching stuff about the Matrix and the Wachowski sisters now because they've transitioned and all and all that. But like, even though they're probably heavily into the woke stuff, that's kind of hurt their craft, I guess, potentially. To be honest, I don't really know much about them, but I'm kind of like watching them at a minute and other people, like some other of these creative types that are probably got a bit of autism, I guess. But what I'm trying to get at is that these skills, these superpowers, I don't think, unless you're very lucky in life, I don't think they pay off. Like for me, I don't think my, don't know, I don't really bother with the woke shit and all this nonsense of autistic superpower, but it's clearly not paid off. Like, it's not exactly got me to where I want to be in life. You never know, it might eventually get me to where I want in life at the very fucking least, but at the minute, it fucking hasn't. It's done the complete opposite. And maybe I've got a bit bitter taste in my mouth. Maybe I'm a bit sour about it, I guess, if you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, it just hasn't. But for some people, it might work out. And I think living in a world where it's very grey, it's very gloomy, especially if you're in fucking Britain, because that's the fucking weather. But the system makes it even more grey and gloomy and dark, where the world's just very chaotic. It's too chaotic, and we live in a world and a system where you have certain expectations where you work 9 to 5 that you don't want to do. And for someone who's got Aspergers, it just doesn't make sense to do that. Where we live in a world where just for doing the job's not enough and you get punished for it. And it's stuff, it's not a superpower, and it's probably a curse, because I think, coming from me personally, I think we live in a world where it's just so unnatural to us, where we're forced and expected to do stuff that's just really not normal, not natural for us, and because of that we're seen as having something wrong with us. We're broken. Because I don't think the normie neurotypical world comes natural to me at all. It's obviously failed, it's broken. I could say I've arguably not really had the right support, where I've had people in my life that have not really helped me out in that, I guess, but that's a topic for another video. And you do take niche, weird interests. For me, they're artistic, but for some people it might be weird. Football, motorways, trains. That's probably a very stereotypical one. For me, it's probably, at the minute, it's storytelling, but that's always changing. But at the minute, that's the thing that gets me excited. That's that itch that needs to be scratched at the minute, if you know what I mean. Don't know if I don't think I'm the most talented writer or talented sort of storyteller or talented filmmaker about, but it's just something I've took an interest in, and maybe there is a bit of potential in that for me. Where it's usually a common theme that people have not made it as filmmakers, artists, writers. There's a reason behind it, and it's simply because they're probably just not good enough. Where, for example, how people make fan castings, like, for example, you're going to fan cast Batman. I think a lot of the time, 95% of the time, a lot of these fan castings are goofy as fuck. They're a bit shit, and when they write fan casting, there's probably a reason why they don't make it into Hollywood or make it as a professional, because at the end of the day, they're just not good enough for it. They're a bit shit, and maybe I could come under that category where I'm probably just not good enough, but even though it's more of a refreshing new thing, but I don't know, deep down I like to think maybe I'm not that bad. Maybe there's a bit of something in that due to having Aspergers potentially, but I don't know, maybe I'm just not good enough. But I think ultimately what I'm trying to get is that it's a curse, because the world doesn't work the way we want it to, the way we function in, where, like I mentioned before, for me, I don't think in that narrow, normie way where the end goal is money. You're basically almost willing to do anything for fucking money. That's why it's so popular, and there's a huge rise of crime and all this criminal stuff with, like, drugs and money laundering, and got all this shit, especially in England, with, like, Uber Eats and delivery, where I believe that is a dodgy industry that's all about the drugs at the end of the day, and like hiring illegals, where it's just corrupt to its fucking core, and it's corrupt. It's all this shit happens and the corruption happens because the end, it's money at the end of the day. The end goal is money, and it corrupts people, makes people do bad, stupid, questionable things, and that's how the world is. And it's probably the same with the government. It's why the government probably lets them get away with all this stuff, because they profit from it. But I'm going off topic here, but that, at the end of the day, that's the normie way of thinking, and I think people who are autistic or who have Aspergers usually think beyond that, where there has to be more than that. What's in it for me? What's the reason to do it? And for me, working has just never fucking interested me, because it don't come natural to me. It's boring, it's depressing, living in a world where doing the job's just not enough, and you get punished for it if you don't do more. So it's unnatural. But the world's chaos, the world's broken. Politics is taking over, left or right. People are divided, have different opinions. Everything's about politics these days. Everybody thinks fucking political, including myself at the minute anyway, even though I fucking hate politics. I'd rather not really, I'd probably rather stay away from it, and at the minute I've kind of buried my head in the sand with it all. I'm starting to stay away from it all because it just depresses me. So shit, chaos, difference of opinions. Like I said, I'd say I'm mostly apolitical, but if anything, I'm a centrist. But yeah, I'm going off topic. And I've met other people with Asperger's that are clearly, I can see some of their decisions and the way they do things, like bad decisions probably, is a result of them having Asperger's, where they're just weird. They're weird fucking people. Awkward. Some of the most awkward fucking bastards you'll ever fucking meet, and I've met quite a few of them in person and virtually, but it's just how it is. Yeah, I think that's it for now.